All right. So I'm pretty excited about this story, mainly because I've never read Tobias Wolff before, and that's basically it. I don't really know anything else. Let's look. I'm Googling right now Tobias Wolff, and noticing. Oh, he got a National Medal of Arts from Barack Obama. I kind of vaguely remember that. He Jewish father. No, Jewish grandfather. But raised Catholic. Unaware of his Jewish grandfather. He served in the Vietnam War. Training for the Special Forces. And then afterwards went to Stanford for creative writing. Oh, he served on the faculty with Raymond Carver at Syracuse. See, fiction writers I'm not so aware of. So he's famous for short stories and memoir. And now I'm looking for when would Bullet in the Head come out? Bullet in the Brain came out in 1998, so maybe that came out in This Boy's Life? No, that's a memoir. Maybe the came out in The Night in Question. Okay, don't know. So jumping away from Wikipedia, Bullet in the Brain, Tobias Wolff. Let's Google this real quick. 1995, actually. 1995. New Yorker is when it came out. I'm seeing it's pretty. Oh, I see a YouTube video.
Hey, local people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and happy Saturday. Happy Short Story Saturday, specifically, because today we're going to talk about Bullet in the Brain by Tobias Wolff. Just a weekly reminder that the story is down in the description below. So if you want to pause this video, take 5 minutes, go read and experience the story, have your brain dissolved by the amazingness that is the ending, and then come back to this video. I'm not going to be mad. In fact, I would be pleased if you do that, because this video is going to contain spoilers, and I don't want to ruin the experience of the story for you. Like, there's nothing worse that I can imagine in my head than ruining the story for you. Actually, this is 2016, the year of terrible things. So maybe it wouldn't be the end of the world, but you should still go read the story before you watch this. Okay, let's do it. Bullet in the Brain was first published in 1995, and then collected in the 19...
Huh. Interesting. 10,000 subscribers. Short Story Saturdays. So this guy, interesting. This guy just reads books. It's basically what I'm trying to do. Okay. Well, he has a short story here.
97 collection of Tobias.
But I'm not going to get into this YouTube video. It's going to take too long, so... I'm just going to look at... I'm going to add the word review in my Google search. Story review. It will always bowl me over. An obnoxious critic is shot. The story is slow. And then there's a specific memory that happens. And Wolff writes with such a forgiving eye and a tender perspective. Huh. Okay. So we're gonna get into the brain of this character. I'm just excited to see a master at work. So Tobias Wolff. I've never read Tobias Wolff, so we'll see what happens. Bullet in the Brain. There's a sort of cantankerous little fellow, some unlikable person who's very sarcastic or something like that, and he dies. He dies with a bullet in the brain. I think at the bank, as a casualty of a robbery, or maybe I'm not. Yeah, I think. Um, and and the story isn't about, oh my god, what a horrible thing that this person's gonna die. It's not like an action movie or anything like that, or a tragedy in a classic sense. I'm expecting something surprising since this is a short story, um, primarily in a psychological way. So let's see what happens there. Published in 1995 in the New Yorker. So almost like 26 years old. Okay, we're gonna. We're, I'm excited. Let's try this. Bullet in the Brain. So of course the line was endless, and he got stuck behind two women. Murderous temper. He was never in the best of tempers anyway. A book critic. Actually, that's funny right there. We have a cantankerous, sort of generally annoyed little person, and he's a book critic, which is like it's like Woody Allen's satire, like sort of satire too. We're criticizing the critics. Also, Tobias Wolff himself's writer, so him making fun of book critics is kind of, comedically just right on key. But we'll see what happens, right? Almost everything. Weary, elegant savagery. I do like that phrase, right there. And wash the teller with hatred. Oh yes, I see. They're angry. One of those little human touches that keep us coming back for more. So that's the women also are sarcastic and full of hatred. Um, so that's a little surprising too. I was thinking this sort of um, unlikable person would be surrounded with likable people to make the contrast a little bit more dramatic. The presumptuous crybaby. Oh, that's okay. Damned unfair, he said. Tragic, really, if they're not chopping off the wrong leg or bombing your ancestral village, they're closing their positions. So he's attacking these women. By the way, the sarcasm here is he's comparing the tragedy of Vietnam, chopping off the wrong leg, bombing an ancestral village, with the bank closing on time, which makes the woman say, defend herself. I didn't say it was tragic. I just think it's a pretty lousy way to treat your customers. Unforgivable. Heaven will take note. So Anders is a pretty unlikable person. She sucked in her cheeks but stared past him. Blue business suits. Interesting. Already pressed against the guard's neck. Though no one had spoken a word. It's kind of funny. Oh, bravo, Anders said. Dead meat. Did he say this out loud? He did say it out loud. Oh, that's funny. So this is the book critic being his bookish self, criticizing the word choices of the robbers as the robbers are threatening them with their lives. Great script, eh? Brass knuckle poetry of the dangerous classes. Okay, so he's very blasé. My do not disturb. Okay. With a kick between the shoulder blades. I just like that phrase, a kick between the shoulder blades. Not a common word combination, and also just not a common place to kick. Uh, but yeah, I can feel it. Even Torber. I wonder why this emphasis on this. I wonder why we would be so slow. Buzzman, his partner said. Short guy with shotgun. He saunters. Sauntering. To the empty position. Does position mean? Does position mean like stall? Basically, is that what that is? So there's this word, military positions, right? But I'm trying to like I don't know of a specific term position for okay, yeah, I couldn't find it in there for like a bank where the bank tellers might be. The empty position too. Did I miss this earlier? I'm gonna skip, but yeah. Whose slot is that? Right. She'd been talking to. Mine, she said. Then get your ugly ass in gear and fill that bag. There you go. Anders said to the woman in front of him just as is done. Hey, bright boy, did I tell you to talk? No, no, Anders said. Then shut your trap. Bright boy, right out of the Killers. The Killers is a classic film, I think. Let me just double check. I'm kind of curious. From 1946. Crime film. Bright boy, right out of the Killers. So this guy is interesting because he's analyzing the real situation, a very dramatic real situation, as if it's just literary. No, Anders said, but the barrel tickled. And he had to fight back the titter. He's very distant from the situation. That's fun. What an interesting little character. This by making himself stare into the man's eyes. Pale blue and Raleigh red rimmed. Left eyelid kept twitching. So Anders is in a weird way in the more in the superior and the dominant position right now. he's sort of chill, and the robbers are not. And the most shocking part was not the gun; it's the breath, an ammonia, so ammoniac smell. I wonder if the pronunciation comes out here. Ugh. Ammoniac. 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 Ew, I don't know how to pronounce that. Right, so you're supposed to have it at the front. So, ammoniac. Okay, yeah, no, that's correct. Ammoniac. It's a word I've never used before in my life. I'm gonna use that. Ammoniac. Ammoniac hongo. Ammoniac breath. And he was beginning to develop a sense of unease when the man prodded him again with a pistol. You like me, bright boy? Oh, bright boy. You want to suck my dick? No. Stop looking at me. Shiny wingtip shoes. Not down there, up here. Up there. Up there. He stuck the pencil and pushed it upward too. To that part of the bank. Suddenly we're just analyzing the ceiling. A pompous old building. Now he had no choice but to scrutinize the painter's work. So this is like, it was even worse than he remembered, and all of it executed with the utmost gravity. Okay, so we're getting into that rhythm right now. We're just making fun of this guy who is just distracted with all of the things he has on his mind to criticize. So, what am I predicting right now? I mean, I think it seems pretty straightforward. We're going to have this guy sort of afloat, not really connected to the things that are really happening in front of him. And that bullet's going to finally make him connected to himself and to everything in this world. And even maybe he'll have a flashback. I actually remember seeing like a hint that there's going to be like a flashback. Maybe a flashback to his life. So he's just this like snide, sort of sarcastic guy who's sort of removed, ironically, from everything that's happening around him. He's really cool and he doesn't really give a shit. But suddenly he's going to give a shit for the very last second of his life. That's what I'm expecting now. The artist. Oh, right. We're talking about the painter still. A coy backward glance on the faces of the cupids and fawns. Wait, but the one that caught his eye was Zeus and Europa, portrayed in this rendition as a bull ogling a cow from behind a haystack to make the cow sexy, had canted her hips suggestively and given her long drooping eyelashes. So it sounds pretty cartoonish. Interesting word. I've never seen this before, but tilted. When she gazed back at the bull with sultry welcome, I misread that as slutty welcome. I thought it was going to be ridiculous. Okay. Or a smirk. Would have said hubba hubba. What's so funny, bright boy? Nothing. You think I'm comical? You think I'm some kind of clown? Oh my god, he's laughing at the ceiling. You think you can fuck with me? Fuck with me again, your history, capiche? He burst out laughing. He covered his mouth with both hands and said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Capiche, oh god, capiche. And capiche is such a... And it is funny, I mean, because capiche is like Italian mobster, like mafia movie language, but this guy is in a blue suit with wingtips, If you don't know what wingtips looks like, it's you should look it up. It's a type of formal dress shoe. He's in a blue suit with wingtips, and saying capiche, I think just strikes me as like unusual. It's like they're acting the gangster part, they're acting the robber part, and it feels fake to Anders, and so he starts laughing and shot Anders right in the head. I'm shocked. I'm a little shocked that the shot already happens before the end of the story. I thought he would die at the very end and not in the middle of the story. That's a little crazy right now. Oh wow, physical description. We did not expect this. Smash a skull. Bullet in the brain though. The title kind of gives that away. We should have been thinking about the physical bullet, the brain. Oh my god! And you know what'd be crazy? The freaking the flashback, if the flashback happens after the bullet leaves the brain, that's even crazier because presumably people still have a couple seconds to think and live. Crazy, surprising me already. Basal ganglia down into the thalamus. But before all this occurred, the first appearance of the bullet in the cerebrum set off a crackling chain of ion transports and neurotransmissions. Because of their peculiar origin, these traced a peculiar pattern, flukishly calling to life a summer afternoon some 40 years past. This is the flashback, and long since lost memory. It's bringing up a memory that had just not been alive. Okay. After striking the cranium, the bullet was moving at 900 feet per second, a pathetically sluggish glacial pace compared to the synaptic lightning that flashed around. That is a beautiful sentence and a crazy comparison. We're thinking about how fast the bullet is, but it's so slow compared to the nerves. And synaptic lightning, that's such a crazy image. Oh my god, that's a great image. Once in the brain, the bullet came under the mediation of brain time. Which is almost, it gives me that sort of not Inception, but what's that terrible Interstellar. The bullet is in brain time. It's like in the black hole. And now some other trippy thing can happen, which gave Anders plenty of leisure to contemplate the scene that, in a phrase he would have abhorred, passed before his eyes. Right? He abhors these cliches, and when the author, the speaker, is using the cliche, ironically, kind of making fun of Anders right now. So the speaker is sort of, poking at Anders right now, which is interesting. It is worth noting what he did not remember, given what he did remember. It's such an interesting turn here, too, and this is so creative, right? We have the bullet going through his brain, which is physical, and then we're going to jump. Now, earlier I said it would be even crazier if he thought after the bullet left, but I like this even better. The bullet is traveling into his brain, but it's like in slow motion now, and we're going to have all the thoughts. But before we even get to the thoughts, there's a new turn, and this turn is we're going to focus on what he didn't remember before we get into the parts that he did remember. And this is the part that's going to humanize him. We're going to see him as a human being. All the life events that made him what he is. He did not remember his first lover. And I'm already sad because I just think about all the things that I wouldn't remember when I die. And the crazy thing is, most madly loved about her, right? It's crazy too, because in my life, there are very intense experiences I had that I probably will not remember. with his unit, which she called Mr. Mole. So that's a sexual joke. Did not remember his wife before she exhausted him, or his daughter, a sullen professor, her bear about his naughtiness, and described the truly appalling punishments. That's so. We're having actually both his commentary through the speaker and just the real experience of his life in juxtaposition. So we have um, like the words of of Sherry, his first lover, and then we also had the irritation, which is not a lot of commentary, but here we go. Then we have his predictability comment, but then the wife, which we don't get too much into the details of. So actually, the most surprising one is a sullen professor of economics. That's a speaker speaking more in Anders' voice, and then the speaker then shifting back to just a scene of what a little girl might do, lecturing her bear, her teddy bear in this case, right? And it's a cute scene. So we're having the juxtaposition of like, and this juxtaposition is happening because the speaker is shifting voices. He's shifting from kind of Anders's voice, which has like these judgmental words like sullen, back to a sort of neutral, objective voice where he's talking about just these things that happened objectively, but pointing out the sort of moments of love. Okay. So that he could give himself the shivers at will. And this is part right here. And this part right here explains, shows the love behind the criticism, right? All that, the love of poetry and art is probably what drives him to be so critical of everything around him. Because he had all of these very intense these experiences as a kid. He could give himself the shivers at will, not silent upon a peak in Darien, or my God, I heard this day, or all my pretty ones that just say all, oh hellkite all. None of these did he remember, not one. Did not remember his dying mother saying of his father, I should have stabbed him in his sleep. He did not remember Professor Joseph's telling his class, and they're reciting. He did not remember the pleasure of giving respect. The pleasure of giving respect. Okay, and now this is where we're starting to have a more judgment of Anders himself. So this is a great list so far. We'll see what happens. Okay, but this list is a little longer than I expected. Hmm. Huh. So some tragedy, like a shocking event in his life. Tragedy father's car to a tree. Three policemen were waking himself up with laughter. Okay, this is what he remembered: heat, So I kind of went a little. He didn't remember when everything began to remind him of something else. I wonder if this is like a little bit of criticism. It's a little bit of a. We're sort of like poking at him, but we do have him becoming that critic where books become his job, and everything began to remind him of everything else. I guess as a critic, oh, this reminds me of that. So I'm always reading something, not just having the pure experience of it. And maybe that's the sort of point, that's being kind of brought out here. But you have the real direct experience of something, like your child scolding her teddy bear. You have the direct experience of memorizing lines and lines and lines of poems that you love, or you have this indirect experience of reading these books because it's a job and trying to remember other previous books and think about how it disconnects to that book, and it sort of dilutes the experience of this new book that you could be reading. This is what he remembered: heat, a baseball field, yellow grass, the whir of insects. Himself leaning against a tree as the boys of the neighborhood gathered for a pickup game. He looks on as the others argue the relative genius of Manoel and Mays. They have been worrying this subject all summer. Worrying, as in gnawing on it. Actually, I learned this definition pretty recently, or relearned it pretty recently. And it has become tedious to Anders, an oppression like the heat. Manoel and Mays, I'm assuming, are baseball players. I'm just going to double check. Yeah. The great debate, Manoel and Mays. Okay, I don't really know what position or anything, but I'm just going to move on. He wasn't so into the boys debating their baseball. He was a literary boy. Short's the best position there is. The others will think he's being a jerk, ragging the kid for his grammar, but that isn't it, not at all. It's that he's strangely aroused by those final two words, their pure unexpectedness and their music. He takes the field in a trance, repeating them to himself. Short's the best position they is. The bullet is already in the brain. It won't be outrun forever. Oh, that's such a great. That's such a great 4 words. 5 words after that semicolon. The bullet is already in the brain. Already a shock. We're back to the bullet. It won't be outrun forever or charmed to a halt. It's like it won't be outrun forever or charmed to a halt. This is referring to the previous 4 paragraphs. That we earned that time in slow motion, basically. But now, time is up. Wow. Into the marble hall of commerce. That can't be helped. Into the bank. It's going to bring all of that memory and hope and talent and love into the bank. Oh, what a crazy turn at the end. But for now. So this turn right now is, I just read, but for now he can still make time. Time for the shadows to lengthen. So shadows to lengthen, I know we're back in the baseball field. And so we don't end that cruelly. If the story ended right here, right, with the Marble Hall commerce right here like this, I'm covering the rest of the story, it would be a little cruel, right? It'd be the bullet's already ready, won't be outrun forever. Be a little cynical. We're done with his memories. We just put a hard stop on those memories. But it does say it won't be outrun forever. So it leaves this possibility and it uses that possibility. Which possibility? You still have some time to remember. Time for the shadows to lengthen on the grass. Time for the tethered bark to bark at the flying ball. Time for the boy in right field to smack his sweat blackened mitt and softly chant. They is, they is, they is. I think I spoke too much to fully enjoy the story, but I just that was a good experience. I got some chills. I got some shivers. Um, just because you know we get into that mode of just like kind of making fun of him for a bit, you know, and he's just sort of almost unrealistic character, but then we make him so real, and then the change in the sequences where the bullet comes in. First of all, he just gets shot right in the middle, but that's not the end. Right now, the story gets lengthened out because the bullet's traveling slower than the synaptic lightning, which is a crazy sentence, and I still remember it. And then we go through this list of memories that he doesn't have, and then we do go to the memory that he does have, and then we stop it. We don't have time forever, and then we let it go again, but we still have a little bit of time. And that's such a soft and tender and loving way of telling this story about this hateful little man. And plus, in that story, in that memory, we have this bookend of him laughing at the guy for saying capiche and dying, and him not laughing at a guy for saying the best day is. So we have that balance, that opposition of, and earlier what I was saying was maybe he was having direct experience versus indirect experience. I don't even like this dichotomy. I just had to make it up on the spot, but like, you know, it's direct experience of love, of appreciation, of passion, of desire, right? But then on the flip side, the same thing can get annoying, you know? Your lover's habits can get annoying. The books you read, you're just reminded of other books. And then when this person says capiche, you're just pissed. And you're mocking. You're being not pissed. You become mocking, and it's the same person. Yeah, that was good. That was good. All right, thanks for reading with me. Uh, Next time I might try live streaming at a predefined time so we can kind of read it together. I'm kind of curious how that works out. For now, that's Bullet in the Brain by Tobias Wolff, and I'll see you in the next one.